Hi guys, I'm Lindsey Martin. I graduated from Christopher Newport in 2015 and I currently teach 5th grade. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about statistics. So statistics is a fancy word for information about data. So we are going to talk about 4 words that come with learning about statistics, and we're going to practice with them. And then we're going to talk about how you can get your own data points so you can do it yourself. So the first word that you need to know about is your mean. And this just means your average. It is the most, I won't say difficult, but your most time-consuming number to find because it has the most steps. So it is a mean number because it makes you do more work. Another word that you guys will need to know about is the median, which is the middle. If it helps to think about it, if you're on like a divided highway or a road where you have like a strip of grass in the middle, that strip of grass or concrete, whatever's in the middle, is called your median. So the median is in the middle of the road, if that helps. You then have your mode, which is most often. So this is the number that you see the most frequently. Instead of most often, you might see it as most frequent. But M-O-M-O, if that helps you remember it. And then your range is your difference. And we will talk about that when we get there. So for my example, I'm going to use some pretend numbers that I'm just going to make up, but you can find your own. So we're going to start with finding the mean, but I'm actually going to rewrite it underneath our data points that I'm going to pick out. And I will say that you will need a phone and a calculator for this activity, just so you don't have to do all the math in your brain or like writing it down. You don't have to do it. You can use a calculator. So our data points are going to be 80, 85, 90, that's a 0, 90, 90, and 95. We're going to start with finding the mean, which, as a reminder, is also called the average. So to find that, you're going to add them all up, and I know that I gave them in order, but if they're not in order from least to greatest, I always put them in order first. I'm going to add them all up, so when you add 80 plus 85 plus 90 plus 90 plus 95, you get 440. I normally double check it, so even if I do it by hand or I use a calculator, I swap and do the opposite and double check to make sure that I did it right. If this number is not right, your next number, which is your answer, will be wrong. So it's important that you do it right. So your next step is to divide. So you're going to put the addition there, the sum there, and then you're going to divide by the number of data points. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points, so that's my number. If I had 6 data points, it would be 6. If I had 4, it would be 4. So this number changes. And the answer is actually 88. So on average, the test scores, assignment scores, are an 88. I'm just going to make a note of it in this corner just so I remember it. So as you can see, it is multiple steps to get to the answer for your mean. And there are multiple ways to check this too. So you could divide by hand, or you could do 88 times 5 and see if you got 440. Just to double check that. So then we're going to find the median, which is the one that's in the middle. So this is when it's really important to have them from least to greatest. So you don't have to put commas there, but I do just to make sure that I keep them separated. So they're in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to start by crossing out the smallest number, then the greatest. I'm then going to come back to this side next to where the smallest number was. I'm going to cross that number out. I'm then going to cross out the next greatest number, leaving the one in the middle. So my median is 90 in this example. If you have an even number of data points, so if you had 6 or you had 4, you will need to find the average of the two numbers that are left in the middle, and that's how you would separate them. You won't have two answers. And I shorten median to be mean when I'm just making my little notes. You don't have to, you can write it out if you want. So our next one is mode, which is the most often number, or the most frequent. So as a reminder, you have MO, MO. So when I'm looking at my data points, I have 80 one time, I have 85 one time, I have 90 twice, and I have 95 once. So because I have 90 twice, that is my mode. And I will just shorten it to MO. If I only had 190, like the second one didn't exist, I would have no mode, and that's totally fine. If every number is there the same number of times, so if you have every number there once, every number there twice, you don't have a mode, and that's totally fine. Alright, and then for your last number, you have range, which, as a reminder, is the difference. So we are going to be subtracting, and you're going to subtract your greatest number from your smallest number. So 95 minus 80 equals 15. So there's about 15, in this case percentage points, that I can expect my students' grades to be in. Your range is not going to be as accurate if you have outliers. So if you have a number that is super high compared to all the other numbers or super low compared to all the other ones, it's not going to be as accurate. And that's just something for you to keep in mind when later on you'll discuss data. As you progress, especially in science, you discuss a lot of these points. So I do also want to tell you that mean, median, and mode are measures of center. So if you ever see that, it might be on a test where it says like which ones are measures of center, those are mean, median, and mode because you're finding the number in the middle. Range is the difference or variance. So if you see a word that means subtract and is asking you which word means this, range is going to be your answer to that. Now, if you're wondering, this isn't super real life, like you just took random numbers. Yes, in my instance, I did just take random numbers. But you can actually find your own data points super easily, and they're super real life. So when you guys hear about like the batter's average or the basket average in basketball or the gymnastics score average, things like that, those are all statistics. You just probably didn't realize it because they just call them stats and move on, which stats is just short for statistics. So if that helps you remember that, that will help maybe. But in real life, you can go out and find your own data points yourself. So what I would do with my class normally is I would actually take them outside and we would do 3 stations. The first would be basketball, where we would shoot hoops for a certain amount of time, and however many they made was their data point for themselves, and then we would use the whole class to complete the set. They would jump rope for, I want to say 2 minutes, and it would be how many times they jumped was their data point. And then they would hula hoop, and they would have up to 5 minutes. They would have a partner, and they would time each other for hula hooping, how long they could hula hoop for. But if you don't have those things, that's totally fine. You can do pulls across your body with a field hockey stick to practice that. You could practice shots on goal in any sport. How many can you get in 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes? Those, and then just repeat it a few times to get more data points. How many passes can you get in a minute? How many jump ropes can you get in a minute? And just repeat it a few times. How many 100-yard sprints can you do in 3 minutes, things like that, are great ways to get data points in very real life. If you don't have access to these things, or you're just like, I'm not really feeling like going outside right now, that's totally fine. You can also, another activity we did was called popcorn math, and I would take like 2x2 inch cards and write random numbers on them, and I'd give them a recording sheet. You don't need it, it's totally optional. It would give them like different numbers to grab, so it would say like grab 3 numbers, grab 5 numbers, grab 7 numbers. So you would take that amount of cards, and those cards that you pulled were your data points, and that would be how you would get more practice. So it's totally optional how you want to do it. There's so many sports that you can choose to play. If you have access to a volleyball, you can set it to yourself or bump it to yourself, things like that. Like, there's so many options to do. I hope that you guys get a chance to get out and practice some, and especially because this is such a fun way to practice it and be active at the same time. Hope you guys are having a great day.